Welcome to A Guide to Every Deck in Pioneer. Today we're looking at Acererak combo. Acererak combo is a deck built around the titular card Acererak the Archlich, a black 3-mana 5/5 legendary creature that says, when it enters the battlefield, if you haven't completed the dungeon Tomb of Annihilation, bounce Acererak and venture into the dungeon. It has another ability, but we're not concerned about that. The important thing to note here is that you can venture into different dungeons, not just Tomb. For our purposes, we only care about Lost Mine of Phandelver and its middle third room, which drains the opponent for 1 life. So, the plan is to trigger Acererak over and over, which we can do since it bounces itself, venturing into Lost Mine again and again to drain the opponent infinitely. Although this technically isn't infinite since Lost Mine's final room draws a card, but you should have more cards in your library than your opponent's life total. So how do we actually trigger Acererak infinitely without having to pay 3 mana each time? Well, we need either to reduce Acererak's cost to 0 or find a way to generate 3+ mana every time we cast it, it enters, or it leaves. And here's where there are myriad different combo lines to go through. Combos number 1A, 1B, 1C, and 1D. The deck of course sports the Rona plus Mox Amber plus Retraction Helix combo because every combo deck is doing that nowadays. Cast Retraction Helix on Rona, activate Mox Amber for blue, then activate Rona to bounce Amber, recast Amber which untaps Rona, repeat for infinite blue mana. Then cast Acererak and with its bounce trigger on the stack, tap Amber for black, repeat for infinite Acererak cast. If you don't have Acererak but you have Kinnon, you can tap Amber for green and then activate Kinnon infinitely until you find Acererak. If you have Tyvar, you can alternate tapping Amber for green and black, activate Tyvar's -2 ability, then use Rona to bounce and recast Tyvar. Repeat until you mill and recur Kinnon. This only fails in the incredibly unlikely circumstance that you mill all 4 Acereraks before milling 1 Kinnon. And if you have Atraxa, you can tap Amber for all its colors and use Rona to bounce and recast it. Combo number 2A and 2B. Gwena, Eyes of Gaia, is a 3-mana green 2/3 legendary creature that says, tap, add 2 mana in any combination of colors which can only be spent to cast creature spells or activate creature abilities. And whenever you cast a creature with power 5+, put a +1 counter on Gwena and untap it. In combination with Kinnon, Gwena adds 3 mana and untaps when you cast Acererak, thus enabling the loop. In combination with Relic of Legends, you can tap Acererak for mana with its bounce trigger on the stack. Combo number 3. Leyline Immersion is a 4-mana green aura that gives the enchanted creature Ward 2 and tap, add 5 mana in any combination of colors which can be spent only to cast spells. If you enchant either Rona or Gwena with Leyline Immersion, they can tap for 5 and then untap when you cast Acererak. Combo number 4. If you have Relic of Legends and both Rona and a summoning sick Gwena, or only one of either Rona and Gwena but also Kinnon, you can cast Acererak, who untaps both Rona and Gwena, hold priority with the bounce trigger on the stack, and tap all the creatures with Relic to generate 3 mana, then repeat for the loop. And there are various other combinations of loops you can perform depending on which cards you have access to, but those are the most common. The other part of the deck I haven't mentioned yet is the Atraxa plan. This deck is generating a lot of mana between Gwena, Relic, Mox Amber, Mana Elves, Leyline Immersion, Tyvar on tapping mana abilities, and Kinnon doubling them, and thus you can get to 7 mana earlier than normal. Additionally, the deck plays No One Left Behind to reanimate combo pieces on the cheap, but you can also use it to reanimate Atraxas that have been binned by Rona loots or Tyvar mills. And Atraxa isn't just a big beater, it also helps find combo pieces. It's not uncommon to cast 2 Atraxas in the same turn to assemble the combo. There are many other elusive details and synergies to note, so to go through them. If you have a lot of mana but not infinite mana, you can use Otawara to bounce Atraxa or Tyvar for another look. Don't forget that Leyline Immersion only adds mana to cast spells, so you can't use it to activate Kinnon or transform Rona. Activating Kinnon without infinite mana is a last resort, only to be used if you have nothing better to do since he can easily brick. Specifically, you'll usually be looking to hit Atraxa, which depending on how many cards are left in your deck, for this example let's say there are 48, only has around a 36% chance of success. Plaza of Heroes gives indestructible and hexproof to Legends, protecting every creature combo piece in the deck. Tyvar's Untap gives 1 additional activation for mana abilities, Rona's Loot, or a second Retraction Helix bounce. Tyvar also lets you tap summoning sick creatures immediately. Finally, some notes for Moto. At the time of this video's recording, Kinnon is bugged with certain cards. For example, he doesn't add more mana from tapping Gwena or Leyline Immersion, and this bug was reported back in 2022, so it's unlikely this will be fixed anytime soon. Since the deck is very click intensive, you probably won't win via infinite Lost Mine triggers. Rather, combo turns usually involve growing Gwena to lethal power and using Retraction Helix to bounce all the blockers. Therefore, on Moto, it's better to venture into Dungeon of the Mad Mage since you draw more cards with it. I hope you've enjoyed this look at Acererak combo. Thank you to my supporters, and if you enjoy these videos, consider subscribing and supporting the channel, and take care.